Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, participants that are here and the participants that are online. This is the third day of our workshop that has been organized and conducted by the National Science Library of the Chinese Academy of Science and the SciELO program involved in the SciELO Network. The first day we have an introduction of both the program, the strategies, the operation of the scientific information management, the scientific communication at the National Science Library and the SciELO. The second day we want to do more in-depth in the platforms that both programs are operating. And today we have the last session, which will be as the previous one, very, very important. We learned a lot with new approaches, new developments, and so on. So we are starting this fourth session, which is entitled Open Scholarly Communication Ecosystem. And today we are looking for the preprint as the beginning of the research communication, all the issue of the peer review, particularly open peer review, and the open push and the evaluation, which is good. The first presentation will be by Professor Jingyu Li. She is here, and from Professor Na Zhang. He will talk to us online. So they will introduce us in the building of the open scholarly communication ecosystem, preprint, open peer review, and the open journal services in PubScholar. So, Dr. Jing Liu, please.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jing Yu, and today I will introduce something about our preprint and open peer review services in PubScholar. Now, the scholarly communication ecosystem, as we know, is constantly evolving. Researchers won't solely rely on journals or books to do their research communication, but they just use some platforms. So the platform-based services are very important today. For example, Preprints, open review, and publish review curator, a model, open data, and so on. And these platform-based services connect the different stakeholders, reviewers, journals, institute researchers, and some repositories together as an ecosystem network. So that's the trend. So follow the trend, and then PubScholagists are doing very a lot of work in just to set up open scholarly ecosystem. We provide many services like preprints. We launched China in 2016, and then we do many work to support researchers to support them to publish their outputs very quickly. And we also support the Research Institute to set up the domain-specific preprint server in China. And then, despite the preprint communication, we then developed the open peer review. First, we just launched the function in China, but as we think it's not enough, and we follow the international trend, and we just set up pub review, a platform tools in 2025. And also, we will we'll support journals to help them to adapt open science, to give their many services to, for example, publishing portals and many others And Dr. Zhang will introduce the details. And also we serve scholars, provide the profiles, and also support the institutions to share their knowledge. So this is China Archive. It is funded by CAS and operated by our library and many important research institutions together for this infrastructure. And now we have 46,000 preprints. We accept the articles English, both English and Chinese, and often English abstracts are required. We offer them DOI and scientific and technology research and identification in China to help them to be cited. So that's what we do. In China Archive, we set up the governance model in China the first time. This is our quality control mechanism. We select a very basic process to select not too full quality preprints. So that's what we do. And also we support the scientists to promote their, to build open infrastructure in their own fields. We cooperate with some universities and research institutes. For example, the China Archive is launched 2019. We worked with the Psychology Institute of CAS to build up it, and many others, astronomy, nuclear sciences, with some associations and Peking University or Fudan University and so on. This is a global preprint metadata index because there are so many preprints now, and there are so many preprint servers. So we want to help to discover it. So we set up this in 2021, and we welcome if being honored the SciELO preprints could be here. And now we have 35 preprint servers. Just the metadata, we link them to your platform. So that's what we do. Also, China Archive as a preprint server, we cooperate with journals. The preprint and journals, for example, we help Chinese journals to make up their own preprint policy statement, encourage researchers to put their preprint before or after the submission to the journal. So this is a policy, and we worked with some Manuscript system to help them to quickly to submit the paper to preprint server. So that's what we do. So this is first part of preprints, the general introduction. And second part, I will introduce something about open peer review. Actually, that's the early exploration in China Archive. In 2022, we made some functions in this preprint server. When it is released, we work with some journals, editors to invite reviewers to come to review this article, and then the review reports will be released in China Archive. So this article is accepted by this journal, finally, in psychology in China. So that's a model that the early exploration. Also, we have some cooperation with some open science publishers, F1000, and Spring Natures have their 11 open access journals to support this. So we do some pilot program at that time, but we don't think it's good because some science community wants their own open peer review, or some journalists think it's not committed. So in 2025, we just promote that. We want to build this preprint open peer review ecosystem. So we develop this pub review, and that's the we can just move this. You could help. Okay. Yes. This is what we do. Yeah. So pub review just connects different stakeholders together. Just the core function is open peer review, and first authors will submit their articles into the system, and we will use AI assistant tools to extract the metadata of the article and then do some format checking, basically, and that's the authors to confirm. If they confirm, this article will be in our system, and they can choose whether to release a preprint or not. So that's a connection with China Archive. And then we have a role called recommender. It could be a scientist or a journal editor. They can organize this open peer review. So they will invite reviewers, and just reviewers can to give their comments, and also can reply at different rounds. And then if the recommend think it is good article, and a report of peer review can be generated. So that's the core function. And the report could be go to the journals if the researchers want to publish the article, or go to proceedings if they want to go to a conference, or just stay here, or just stay preprint. So we have an expert database to support that, and we have some AI agents to support the whole process to make it more smoothly and quickly. So that's what we do in Pub Review. So this some screenshots of our platform. This is a Pub Review. This is the paper submission. We have several steps, and they just can drag a PDF, just to come here, and it will extract all the information. So it's very convenient. And then if they want to release a preprint, they can go to the channel archive to be in the screening process. And when it is released, the information will be back in the system, so it will connect with the preprint. This is how we can invite reviewers. The AI agents could match some approach age experts based on their professionals or age or many other kinds of to recommend the reviewers to, and you can just choose the reviewers from your basic expert database. And that's the reviewer and also reply screenshots. And you can just highlight something in the PDF, and then you can say something about this, and authors will reply. So that's what we do. Okay, when it's finished, the many rounds and 1 or 2 rounds, we have this report. Sorry, it is Chinese, but it's a review report here. Yeah. So the review process is complete. You can open it, or you can just keep in your system right now. And later, if the journal, if the author wants to just go to a journal, we can recommend some journals based on this article. So these are the recommend journals, and they can choose and just go there directly. That's a whole workflow of Pub Review. And of course, in this, just as yesterday, and we introduced that we have many AI agents to support all the workflows to make it more convenient. And now we have some applications since this 1 year. We support the philosophy and social science, preprint, communication in China to use this, and also support their editors to use this. And of course, we support one conference now to the computer, and another agriculture is just a process that they can use our this new model for communication system just to support that. So that's my part. And finally, I just want to say welcome if we honored we can promote the Discovery Global Preprints. Actually, we are just built another pub archive, and we will gather all the global servers and also some knowledge services. If you're interested, we can do that together. And second, we can just, as Abel says, we can create a new process of the scholarly communication. So that's what that's my part. Thank you. And now I will give the floor to Dr. Nigel.
Incredible system, and congratulations. We need to learn more about it. So we have now online the presentation of Dr. Na Sun. Please, Dr. Na, is she online already?
Hello, everyone.
Well,
I'm Zhang Na. It's my honor to be here today to briefly introduce to the connected areas of our work. The first part one is journal, PubScholar journal services. Now let me start with the first part. Briefly introduce the PubScholar open science platform. The PubScholar is a public-oriented academic service which focuses on specialized selection and dissemination of valuable research. It can provide one-stop access to diverse academic resources, like journal articles, patents, datasets, software, and books. Now, currently, it includes 107 million journal articles, 106 million patents, and 500,000 datasets, and 1 million software. Now, let's have a quick look at PubScholar journal services. We break it into 2 dimensions. First, single journal services. That means content dissemination, AI tools, publishing support, things that help one journal get better. Second, network level services that's about showcasing subject journals and help them get discovered across the platform. More details on each service later. The first piece here is content dissemination and discovery. We aim to connect the journal content with a wider audience. Basically, we offer four things. First, the journal retrieval. The platform will enable categorizing indexing by discipline, language, region, and accept type. The second is one-stop access to journals. We can provide centralized access to a wide range of journals in a single platform. The third, multi-dimensional facet search. We can allow precise and flexible search across multi-criteria. As fourth, full-text access navigation. We provide seamless navigation tool for text articles across journals. The second piece of single journal service is publishing service. The platform can provide integrated publishing service for journals joining the platform, like manuscript submission and reviewing system to reduce costs and enhance efficiency for journals. On this page, you can see data intelligence as an example. It's an English language journal that publishing new research in data intelligence. The main point is that we help journals not just with discovery, but also with the actual publishing workflow, from submission to review to final publication. What makes our publishing services different from typical ones is two features: preprint submission and open peer review. First, preprint submission. We support authors to quickly release their manuscripts as a preprint for rapid dissemination. Then, after journal peer review, they can formally publish them, and we establish content linkage and version traceability between the two. Second, open peer review. We support journals disclose review reports, including review comments, author responses, and editorial decision justifications. So together, preprints speed up sharing and open review builds transparency. That's how we differ from traditional publishing services. Now, let's look at the third piece of single journal services, AI services. We integrate large language models into user workflows to enable knowledge services. This includes four main features. First, AI search. Second, AI literature reviews, and AI conversation, AI reading assistant, and AI translation. Now let's look at the fourth piece of single journal service, data management. This covers the three areas. First, the journal showcase. We provide the key showcase features for partner journals, helping them present their content and credentials efficiently. And second, journal data deposit. We offer a standardized metadata and the full text deposit service. And third, journal data statistics and analytics. This provides key indicators for visibility, reach, and impact. Together, these three areas help journals manage their data, showcase their content, and measure this impact. And let's into the second dimension, journal cluster services. The first piece here is journal cluster showcase and discovery. This is a centralized hub to showcase and discover domain-specific journal clusters by discipline. It works in three ways. First, the subject journal showcase. And the second is curated selection. And the third is metadata discipline, like impact factors and quality type. The second piece of journal cluster service is subject preprints. We can provide preprints-wise, which integrate within subject journal clusters to accelerate dissemination, expand submission pipelines, and lower barriers for authors. It offers 4 key benefits. First, manuscripting filtering from preprints. The journals can monitor and invite proposing preprints early. A second is expanded submission pipeline. The journal can reach more authors in the discipline. Third, faster time to visibility. The research appears immediately in the cluster. And fourth, lower submission barriers. We can provide a one-click submission with auto-filled metadata. The third piece of journal service is subject open peer review. An open peer review service integrated within subject journal clusters to enable cross-journal collaboration, reviewing portability, and transparent decision making across the cluster. There are 4 benefits. First, cross-journal review transfer. The reports review transfer between journals eliminate redundant. The second, shared expert reviewer pool. We can jointly build a domain reviewer database. Third, reviewer certification. We can provide formal recognition for reviewers within the cluster. And fourth, cluster-wide transparent disclosure. The first piece of journal cluster service is journal cluster statistical analysis, a data management and analytics service integrated within subject journal clusters to support deposit, statistical analysis, and long-term preservation for cluster journals. There are 3 functions. First, the metrics dashboard. We can see the downloads, citations, and automatic index for journals and a cluster. The second is the cross-journal comparison. We can provide side-by-side metric comparison across journals. And third is the trend analysis. We can track performance trends over time. And the fifth journal cluster services is cross-journal special issue collaboration. The platform will enable multiple cluster journals to collaboratively manage special issues from planning to publication. It involves in five steps. The first step is joint planning. Multiple journals collaborate on special issue topics and timelines. The second step is unified call for papers. We can provide a single centralized call for paper across participating journals. And the third step is intelligent assignment. We can use AI to route manuscripts to the best fit journal in the cluster. And the third step is peer review and decision. In this step, each journal can manage peer review and make decisions independently. The final step is cross-journal showcase. We can display articles collectively across all journals. Now let's move into the part 2, PubScholar Open Access Journal Network Development. Given the open access trend and the services the PubScholar we can provide, we aimed to build a open access journal network. What is the network? Network aims to build a unified global portal for OA journal resources, enabling integrated in discovery, search and retrieval, and data services for OA journals. It systematically enhances the discoverability and accessibility of global OA journals. At a higher level, we want to build a vibrant open academic community, open, transparent, efficient, trustworthy, equitable, and inclusive. More specifically, there are 6 goals. First, lower the cost of scholarly communication. Secondly, enable global OA journal discovery and dissemination. Thirdly, promote dialogue and collaboration among stakeholders. Firstly, build a collaborative OA journal community from mutual benefit. Fifth, enable open sharing and effective use of research. Sixth, enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion in scholarly literature. And we want to build a connection with platform partnership, like deeply integrate systems and resources, as well as the journal cluster platform. Many multi-journals on board as a cluster. And on this is we have built a connection with several platforms. Now it's the shared content list. We can share the content list about content for 4 parts. The first part is shared journal directory. The second part is paper metadata checklist. And the third part is open for text indexing. And the fourth part is incremental update log. And finally, we welcome you to join open access journals, platforms, journal clusters. All are welcome. And we want to build this network together. And thanks you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Long.
Thank you.
Very welcome presentation. We are very, very much interested to participate in the global open access network journal. Of course, we need to work on that as soon as possible, because that will contribute to learn more about visibility, about how to be very nice. So we have now another presentation on National Science Library regarding another topic that we are very much interested in learning to use, which is the APC report, which I read it already, very impressive. And also introduction to the Open Science Readiness Index, which we are very much interested in. We have a kind of, let's say, system to go through the adoption of the open science within the countries of the CAS Network, particularly in Brazil that we start. So we are looking for indicators that show the evolution of the adoption. So we are very interested in the open network.
Yes, I'm pleased to share work on the evaluation on the global open access journals and APCs. It is an annual work. Just like colleagues mentioned that PubScholar or open science platform, but before those the construction of those platforms, we developed the GoOA, which is an integrated OA journal platform. Actually, since 2013, as part of library connection development, we have been evaluated, selected, and indexed the OA journals globally, which led to the establishment of the GoOA platform. Now, we have evaluated every year more than 26,000 OA journals around the world, and full text OA articles on the platform are provided mainly by publishers. We cooperate with more than 30 international publishers based on data sharing MOU, such as Spring Nature, Valley, References, and exactly. And we have also harvested full text content from a number of OA journals. For example, we collected the papers from SciELO. Yes. Yes. On the GoOA platform, we index the OA journals from different countries and regions, and based on the different languages. This is a journal indexed in our platform from the SciELO. Yeah. To help users to truly understand the OA journals, why did they publish papers on OA journals? And how about the quality of the OA journals? We have established evaluation standards, including publication quality, scholarly impact, and openness for 4 OA journals globally. Every year, just from over 20,000 OA journals worldwide, about 3,004 OA titles are selected annually to form the Go OA Journal White List. These journals are ranked in 18 fields in white list. For example, in the field of chemistry, we ranking the journals by 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars, 1 star. Yeah. At the same time, when we discuss or introduce the OA journals to the scientific community, we meet some challenges. The first is because the publishers seldom release the transparent APC policies. So you know that. So the authors cannot ask the support from the institute based on the APC prices. So in 2016, the Chinese government released a policy that requires authors to submit supporting documentation if APCs for OA journals publication exceeds 20,000 RMB. Yeah, so it is a challenge for the authors to publish in OA models. So based on this background, we began annual collection of journal APC data and develop APC check. It's a tool to help the authors check the reasonability of the APC when they publish OA papers. Yes, the user can just can use our website to find the APC price of every journal, including hybrid journal for OA journal, and they also can find whether it is reasonable for them to publish their articles in this in special fields such as in chemistry. We think that we designed that OA journal APC are positively corrected with some of their academic impact and influence with the open network. The number of the academic impact is from SciE, and the influence within the open network is from Google H5 index. So there is a line. Yes, just how to say up. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yes, so it's unreasonable, but end the line it is reasonable, and this red line is the 20,000 RMB. Yeah. So the user can find, oh yes, I can submit my manuscript to this OA journal and not to that journal because it is reasonable. And at the same time, we propose a global local strategy for global open access, which is published in international journal. Because we found that the APC, the open access, especially OA publication, meets some challenges, including geographical separation between the knowledge source and the knowledge hub. And First, major obstacle for OM movement is quality control, and the second obstacle for OM movement is financial affordability, especially for global source. So we propose the global and local strategy for open science, including geography balance, academic integrity, and research outreach to make OA affordable for the global source. So yes, so I will share the monitoring results from the report last year. The data we used in our report is based on the SCI journal list released in June 2025 as the source of OAG data. And we analyzed the global OA journals published and the global OA output and the global APC and the China OA journals published and the China output and the APC spending. Last year, ICI indexed a total of more than 9,000 journals, of which about 8,600 were identified as OA journals. It is about more than 19% of the total. And the 4 OA journals accounted for about 31% of the total. Regarding the global OA publishing output in last year, the global number of OA publication is more than 1 million, which are increased with an increase of 13.56% annually, and 4 OA journals product about 20 as many OA articles as hybrid OA journals. The top 10 publishers is Spring Nature, MDPI, Elsewhere, and IEEE, and PROS is actually. And Spring Nature surpasses MDPI to become the world's largest OA publishers. In 2024, MDPI was the biggest, largest OA publisher. Yes, we also pay more attention on the rising rate for the for the journal to publish output. For a total of more than 2,400 OA journals record year-on-year growth in publication output of at least 30%. It's too high. You know, there are so many journals publishing so many higher number of articles. And the Scientific Report Journal was the journal with the highest global OA publishing output. Regarding the OA APC revenue last year, total global APC revenue reached about difficult for me, $3.807 billion, which means 19% increase in US dollar terms. We know that some publishers or some community promote the diamond OA. Yeah, but last year we found that the trade of the rating of golden of diamond OA, number of diamond OA is decreased. Yes, last year, but after yes, but in the past several years, you know, the growth is
That does not mean that the number actually, the proportion, the percentage.
Yes, but the how to say the number is decreases.
And
But
the number, so?
yeah, the number is this because last year or last 2024, the number of the zero APC journal almost keep it similar. So when the number of the OA or zero APC journal decreases, so the reality will be decreased. And we also found last year the average APC levels exceeded $3,000. Yes, so it's very high. You know, the government, Chinese government control a line about maybe $3,000, but the average level of APC is just on a line. So it's where it will become more difficult for the Chinese authors to publish in OA model. And Springer Nature ranked first global in APC revenues. I think the growth is very higher, maybe, or the value is also very higher than other publishers.
The annual growth is the last year or the average?
Which one?
The Wheeler, for example,
Publish?
say
2025.
45 annual growth, that was 25 related to 24, or was the average along the years?
是年度增长啊。
Yes,
Yes, yeah,
compared to the 2024.
okay, yeah,
Yes.
incredible. But that is also because of the transformative agreements, you know?
No, yes, maybe.
Yes, maybe.
Yes, it will be, but they didn't get some CA transformation agreement in China. We still signed the agreement. And a total, yes. Yes, it is about 62% of our journals which has reasonable APC levels. It is not high, you know. Yeah, there are some reasons. Regarding the OA journal publishing in China last year, it is about 257 Chinese OA journals indexed in SCIE. But based on this OA journals, only 20,000 papers published in those OA journals, Chinese OA journals. But at the same time, you know, the Chinese authors published the blah, 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 blah. So how to support this Chinese OA journals, support China's authors to publish OA journal? No. So we just also just select international OA journals to publish there. At the same time, we pay a lot of money in the international OA journals. So it's I think it is. We will discuss that when we cooperate with SciELO. Yes, maybe we can see widely journals to publish, to help the Chinese authors to publish their papers. Not just only the OA journals in SCIE, but maybe in SciELO, yeah, in other journal or network, I think.
Very good.
And the average APC of China OA journals was about 2,400. It's lower than the average level in the world. But sometimes I think it's also a little higher. comparing with, you know, Diamond OA.
But that is because they are being pushed by the commercial.
Yes, yes.
That is raised the.
Yes, because some Chinese OA journal publisher belong to, you know, international CAS. Yes, which is a joint publisher with Science Press and Spring Nature. Yes. So the average of APC, I think of Chinese OA journal is a little higher. Yeah. Regarding the China's OA publishers and APC spending in last year, it is yes. Last year, Chinese author published more than 386 so. Ah,
386,000.
Yes. It's higher, you know, it's with a year annual increase of 23%. Yes, it's very high. And the Chinese also paid about 1 billion,
1 billion.
1.2 billion US
Over 1
dollars.
billion.
Is the first
Yes.
one,
Yeah.
Publish is the first one to pay. If you know, actually, it is estimated that the total involved years in journals are 10 million.
Mm.
Or-
10 billion? No,
10
billion?
No,
Oh, yes.
the total.
Yeah, total.
So
yes.
Chinese is already contributing with 10%.
Yeah, 10%.
Sure.
Yes.
You can compare the R&D input is what?
Yeah.
Old.
Yes. So just based on our data, in analysis data, the Chinese government released some new policies, you know, just as to that control the Chinese authors to publish their papers in the journals with IPC more than $5,000 US dollars. Yes. The total subjected areas for APC payment by Chinese authors was concentrated in multidisciplinary science and the biomedical fields. Why I say that? Because if we cooperate, maybe we will analyze the some field. Yes, maybe we can cooperate, especially cooperate on multidisciplinary or some biomedical or some special field. Yes, I think it will help Chinese authors to publish their output. Yeah. And the national public funding remains the primary source of APC payments, especially NSFC, the National Natural Science Foundation of China, NSC. The money paid by Chinese authors via OA publishing is about 10% of the NSFC budget annually. So it's amazing, you know. So there are many key messages from our analysis. The first one is the transition of global OA publishing is now an established reality, and the trend towards marketizations is increasing evidence. The second is Chinese authors account for more than 30% of both global output and APC expenditure, while China's share of the OA journal market remains limited. And at the same time, we just propose and thoughts on the predatory characteristics of OA journals, because we pay more attention on the the publisher sticker to pursue the maximize APC revenue And, we cannot get the clear APC policies from the publisher. Every year, the publisher, the main international publisher will visit our library and discuss with me. Actually, every time I just, can you provide the component of the APC policy for me? No. Yeah. Yes. Next week, some director of Spring Natural will visit our library and discuss about the data from that. So we should back to the real scholarly communication, which we think that will not be controlled by a publisher, but maybe by it's the thoughts from our director. 你说呀，你介绍一下这个。
So this slide is for the cross meeting, cross discussions in the Peru this year. Early this week, I observed the journal is the communication we are not communicating based on journal. And so we all in this situation we will discuss about the journal, how to improve the journals, how to get the impact of the journals. And in China we also have the strategy of we should have over 3,000 famous journals in China to do that. Well, we have this. But I think the journals, it's not communication. Or even journal is the communication should so an analysis about the journal's function. What's journal? So I think the journal function is about 5 functions that register and promotions and archive and also 5 major functions. And unless analysis this function, all these functions now is integrated in the journal. I believe these 5 functions can divide in the different actors can do the different functions for that. Like research institute can pay the peer review. The public institute can have the archive. So in this situations, we can also have this can establish a new academic research the communication systems for that. So this so in this, I also found there's some paradox about that. Publishing funding give to the scientists work for the publisher.
Yeah.
Work for the publisher. So and the publishers then they get the money from the scientists. So this is a very critical cycle for that. So I have an idea is about to give the it's about that we can take the manager active back into public domain. And the research tools can responsible the registry, the peer reviews, and just like the dissemination and the regulations for the commercial. So I think this is a new new model.
Interesting, yeah. I needed to learn more about that, but I think that my first impression would be how we can take from this framework the determinants that will, let's say, conduct the future of.
Yeah.
Because you say this, but how are the determinants in terms of a policy? Because if it's China take your policy, that will impact everywhere.
You can say this situation. Country or the research, the budget almost come from country, and act by the institution or university. But most of the institute and most of is public. So in this key important is the government can play a very important role in this rebuild. This review.
Yes. The community-led publishing will be a chance, I think, because just as you mentioned that the researchers are the founders, the authors, the peer reviewers, and the readers. So it is controlled by the national publishers.
So in this, we get the new scholarly communication ecosystems. It should be a new ecosystem.
Perfect.
Okay. Yes, some recommendations from our APC monitoring report. The first is just that we think that the output publisher could be guided by the scientific community. And maybe the research institute should take greater responsibility for the functionary of scholarly registration, certification, and archival should be established public communication platforms. And it is also recommended that open science platforms be developed to promote open communications mechanisms, open peer reviews, and open scientific evaluations, which I just mentioned by my colleagues, and basing on on their thoughts. So that's all. Yes, every year we release the APC monitoring report, and yes, it has become more popular, especially in the publishing industry. Yes, every year. Okay. I will share the next another monitoring of the open science. Yeah. This work is guided by the and the framework of Open for Science Jacket program, and it is guided by CCOS and the National Science Library of CAS. We know that the global open science movement has gone through 3 stages: open access, open data, and and now to the global open science governance. Over the course of this okay.
Okay, now we're done.
Yes, over the course of this open science evolution stages, various standards of development have taken shape, promoting several several monitoring projects to evaluate open science. For example, from the European EU, EC, and France and Finland, and some projects from European. However, these standards vary through single aspect data matched by complexity and consistency. And we also have some survey on the open science development situation. For example, in 2024, how can I really remember?
Carolina, okay, yeah.
You can use the slide.
Okay. In 2024, over 4.37 million research articles were published globally, and the average country level proportion of all articles was more than 60%, with over 114 countries meeting this threshold. Although Chinese authors publish so many articles, but the average level of OA ratio is lower than the global average level. And related to the open data development situations, we can find the quality of a country's shareable papers and scientific data, and the integrity of countries' shareable data and the financial sustainability of countries' shareable data is lower, very lower. So how to support the data to be open and shared? It is a big challenges for all of the world, not just for many countries, but it is global challenges. And regarding the open science ecosystem, just from the aspect of number of the journals, number of the platform, number of the policy released by the countries, is also diverse in different countries, and especially to the number of open science policy. More than, I don't remember the number, many countries now never release OA policy or open science related policies. So objectives of this report is to assess the diversity of practices and impacts associated with the advancement of open science, and to examine the directions and the benefits of open science development models within national science, technical, and innovation ecosystems. This work was carried out in three main phases. The first is we develop the open science readiness monitoring model, titled as OSRI. The second phase of our work is to connect data and analysis OSRI in some special country and regions, including USA, China, Russia, Japan, EU, and India, and some developing country. Now we are now in the phase third, develop the open science readiness monitoring to evaluate the UN member states, and at the same time we establish the OSI tools in our open science platform. This is the article we published actually in 2024 in an international journal. Based on this published OSRI, we have further refined several indicators and the open data dimension and the open policy dimensions. to profile trends and current schedules in open science readiness across UN 193 member states and global. In this renewed OSRI, we established three dimensions: open access dimension, open data dimension, and open policy dimension. Open access readiness reflects the public accessibility of national scientific knowledge and the degree of participation in international research cooperation. For example, how many articles published in OM models and how many co-authors in our published articles. Regarding the open data dimension, which is to open data readiness dimension is intended to measure a country's capability for data sharing and its level of accessibility across the scientific data life cycle. The open policy readiness dimension is intended to measure a country's overall capability to support open science through its institutional environment, legal safeguards, and infrastructure. So, in the readiness of open science dimension, two sub-dimensions are included. The first is openness readiness. The second is inclusiveness readiness. In the dimension of open data, there are also two sub-dimensions are included, which the first is SOD shareable data, and the second is AOD accessible data. In the open policy dimension, it includes four sub-dimensions as law, such as legal, environmental, and the infrastructure number of infrastructure, and the journal number of journals, and the published released by the government. So this is the framework of the OSI monitoring in our monitoring report. And the OSRI, the R value is controlled from 0 to 1, so it can be easier to compare in different dimensions or different countries. Yes, it's a welcome. The OSI calculation formula is very complex. You know, there are so many how to communicate to do that. And so when we figure out the how to say Sangji feature of profile the every country, we found that it's diversity because they have the difficult, you know, they are in a difficult economic level. So to effectively assess this sustainable progress achieved by the country at a varying development level and resource constraints, we adopted the United Nations Development Program's HDI, Human Development Index, as a calibration factor to developmental baselines. The data source, we selected the data from different open platforms, including the SciE and the Scopus. Yes, we know it is not open to everyone, but when we analyze the information of some channels, we also cooperate with these publishers to get the data from these platforms. For example, we get the retraction data from the retraction work. It is an open platform, we know that. But we also get FWCI or number of global higher cited researchers from scopus. Yes. So this is some finding from our report. First is the trends and the calendar status of R value. From in the past decade, the overall level of R value across the 193 countries showed a steadily upward trend. Especially in 2024, the average R value across these countries was very low, was only 0.346, with national value range from 0.172 0.869, yes. And in 2024 global overview of the open science readiness R, it is varied gradually across these countries. And the average level of open policy readiness was higher than that of the open access readiness and the open data readiness. Most developing countries remained at a lower stage of readiness. Regarding the R value across the three-dimension open access, open data, and open policy, in the past decade, the growth rate of global ROD and ROP was significantly lower than that of ROA. So is that maybe, especially for China, we don't release some open science-related policy. But the development of open access make a rapid progress. So that wow. So we can say that the practice and the policy is分开的. It's in developing stage, yeah. And in 2024, among the 193 countries, 57% with a lower ROA. According to the open access readiness, 80% record open access readiness value below the global averages. To some countries, Saudi Arabia, yeah, published fewer paper, but they are all in OA models. So the OA rating is very higher than other countries. In 2024, the average level of openness, we know that the openness and inclusion and sub-dimensions are included in open access readiness. So in 2024, the average level of openness across these countries was 1.427, which showed an increase of 2.9% compared with 10 years ago. Regarding the current status and the trends in open data readiness, in 2024, among these countries, 50% recorded ROA value below the global average. according to the academic quality factor in the open data readiness dimension, in 2024, it was 1.27 247. Yes, a total of 173 countries record SOD values below this average. According to the information quality factors in open data dimension, the average was very lower, remains at a lower level. According to the reliability factors in the open data readiness dimension, is all which have a increase of 68% compared with that in 10 years ago. Yes, according to the open policy readiness ROP dimension, between 2014 to 2024, the global average OR value increased gradually from 1.4. Yes, it is almost keep the stable in the past decade. And there are some data to describe the legal environment, infrastructure, and the platform, and the journal, and the policy released in these countries. From our analysis, we found that there are some special characteristics of national open science readiness. But basing on these pictures to different countries, for example, United States, China, and Brazil, and India, we can find the OA, OD, or OP have the different contribution to the R value for these countries. So based on this analysis and the analysis on the special indicators contributions of 3 catalogs of countries by R value in 2024, and the analysis on the special indicators contributions of countries with higher growth in R value between 2014 to 2024, we figure out 5 models of open science readiness development around the world, including comprehensive leadership. Maybe the representative countries is United States, which with a higher R value. And the second model is scale-driven. The representative countries include China, India, Indonesia, which with a higher level of R value from is around the 1.5. And the third model is policy leader, which is especially for the countries in EU, because they develop open science earlier than other countries, but they don't get rapid progress in the past 10 years. The fourth is the balanced lower growth. And the last one is the pressure foundation with a lower level across all dimensions. And the policies exist, but weaker implementation. Yes, it is. We also find that some structure decoupulations in global OA science readiness across UN member states. Yes, we have some recommendations from this report. The first, to support open science capability in countries with lower readiness. The second is to strengthen policy cooperation among countries with lower by steady readiness goals. The second recommendation is to encourage high readiness countries to extend the ecosystem value of open science. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Very nice, thank you very much. Presentation. It's a comprehensive view of the approach, of the national budget.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, we are finishing this session. We will have now a break of 15 minutes and then we come back. Okay? Preprints and the journal manuscript process. Please, Carol.
Hey, hello, hopefully you can hear me all right. So I'm Carolina Taniguchi. I am the coordinator of the online submission systems and SciELO Preprints, which is what we're talking about today. So for this presentation, it is a bit long, but it has pretty much 3 parts. So first we're going to start with some context, and then we're going to go into SciELO Preprints, and then we're going to talk about submission systems. So first things first, here are some ideas that we need to be able to work in the broader context of this presentation. So first, SciELO considers preprints to be the beginning of the research communication workflow. 2, SciELO journals are expected to embrace preprints, their benefits, and their contribution in each area of knowledge. Preprints also strengthen the journal's role. Their main function is now validating research in an open modus operandi, which means validating not only the quote-unquote science behind a paper, but how open it is. And finally, the preprint journal relationship is constantly evolving towards a broader and more open research workflow. Okay. So our policies are defined by the SciELO Brazil criteria, which are updated every 2 years and approved by the SciELO Brazil Advisory Committee. The criteria are used as a baseline to guide journal admission instruments in the SciELO Brazil collection and also serve as a reference document for other collections of the network. It is a very extensive document, but today we'll focus on 3 aspects of it. So 1, as I just mentioned, preprints as the start of the scholarly communication workflow. 2, journals must have a preprint policy. And 3, journals must use a trusted online submission system that interoperates with preprints. This is just a little scheme showing how this workflow goes. So if you have preprints and peer review feeding into one another, the idea is that once a preprint is submitted to a journal, each new version also gets posted as a new version of that preprint until the final publication or the version of record is published in the journal. Peer review, of course, happens via submission systems that are informed by the journal submission policies. So for a look into the preprint policies in the SciELO Brazil collection, 83% of SciELO Brazil journals state in their author guidelines that they accept submissions of articles previously deposited on a preprint server. 15% of SciELO Brazil journals make no mention of preprints whatsoever, and only 1% of SciELO Brazil journals do not accept preprints for submission. So on to SciELO Preprints. SciELO Preprints was launched in April 2020, yes, at the beginning of the pandemic, and it currently has over 5,000 preprints posted. It is operated by Open Preprint Systems, OPS, an open source software developed and maintained by the Public Knowledge Project, PK. It is part of our commitment to open science practices, and serves also as an option of preprint server for journals and authors of the SciELO Network. So why would you want to submit to SciELO Preprints? So we accept submissions in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. All preprints are assigned a DOI when posted. We interoperate with SciELO data via the Dataverse plugin. We also interoperate with ORCID both in the submission process and upon posting. As of May 31st, 2026, we have received a total of 8,000 submissions and have a rejection rate of about 34%. So preprints posted on SciELO Preprints are indexed in Google Scholar, SciELO, of course, European C, and OpenAlex. Okay. This is just a graph demonstrating the number of submissions by year since 2020. Lighter blue shows submissions posted, and the darker blue submissions rejected. Notice that there's significant growth starting in 2024 and into 2025. This data, as all other data that I'll be showing throughout this presentation that has any numbers for 2026, only goes until May. But we have noticed the trend of an increase in submissions numbers this far into the year as well. This is a graph showing the percentage of submissions by area of knowledge. Considering the history of the server, by which I mean it started during the pandemic, it is expected that we'd see a high percentage of health sciences preprints. What I would like to highlight here is the 43% of humanities. This is partly due to Educação em Revista, an education journal that we have in the SciELO Brazil collection, which requires all papers to have been previously posted in a preprint server before submission. And this is a graph showing the percentage of submissions by language. 70% of all posted preprints are in Portuguese, followed by English and Spanish, which are pretty close enough. This is the breakdown of preprints by region. So as you can see here, 80% of all total acceptances are from Brazilian authors, which explains why we have 70% of Portuguese papers. Then we have Latin America and the Caribbean, excluding Brazil, of course, and the Iberic region with a total sum of 16% of total posted preprints. Okay, so on to moderation. The main role of moderation is a question we must ask ourselves when we receive a preprint, which is, if submitted to a SciELO journal, would the manuscript be sent to peer review or would it be rejected during descript? So with that in mind, there are 3 levels of moderation. So first is a format moderation. All submissions go through this. It's to ensure that all necessary information is in the submission system and in the PDF file. Following is author's history evaluation. In this step, moderators look at the author's working record to validate any previous scholarly publication history. The system also allows endorsement of a more experienced researcher via plaudit, should none of the authors meet the criteria for publication, which is listed on the SciELO Preprints FAQ. Finally, area specialist. This level counts with crucial support of SciELO editors. In case none of the authors meet the previous criteria and have no endorsement, we ask editors of journals indexed in a SciELO Network collection for assistance with moderation. Okay, this is pretty much what we look at when we're doing format moderation. So ORCID for all authors, data availability statement, author contribution information, usually credits, conflict of interest, and approval from the institution ethics committee, when applicable, are all required. We have been incentivizing AI usage declaration and also funding information. Okay, so we use an OPS plugin to assist with moderation, both during submission, so we can ensure files uploaded by the authors have all previously mentioned necessary information, and also during moderation, as authors have the option to inform DOIs of previous relevant articles to assist with moderations on levels 2 and 3. And as I was just saying, authors also have the option to ask a veteran researcher for endorsement. SciELO Preprints interoperates with Plaudit via a plugin that allows authors to request the endorsement of veteran researchers in their area of knowledge. Once endorsement is approved by the veteran researcher and the preprint is posted, the information is publicly displayed on the preprint landing page. Other researchers may also endorse the preprint if they'd like to do so once it's posted and public. So this is just a screen grab, but then showing a preprint that has been endorsed on the preprint landing page. So you'll see that this specific preprint has 20 endorsements. And okay. So onto open data. So SciELO Preprints has a plugin integration with SciELO Data, which runs on Dataverse since January 2023. Authors are required to inform the status of research data during the submission process. The research data status, aka data availability information, is also sent to Crossref once / if the preprint is posted. Okay, so these are just the available options for authors during the submission process. The highlighted option is the option that allows for direct deposit to SciELO data. And this is an example of a preprint with a SciELO data deposit and other also data on other repositories and data contained in the manuscript. You will notice that they can select more than one option. And this is what it looks like on the public page. The data set on SciELO data is listed under the research data title. And this is a graph showing the composition of preprint data sets on SciELO data and overall posted preprints for a year starting in 2021. The lighter blue line represents the number of data sets, and the darker blue line on top shows the number of posted submissions. Even though the plugin dates back to 2023, the SciELO dataverse of SciELO preprints has been operating since 2021. From 2023, this number has not grown, even though SciELO preprints has seen an increase in posted submissions. And onto open preprint review. So pre and post posting, there's the option of the endorsement by applauded, which we already talked about. And post posting, there are 3 other options, which is PDF annotations via the hypothesis integration, preprint reviews via peer review integration, and preprint highlights via the SciELO pre-lights pre-list. And this is just a screen grab of the SciELO preprints page where you'll find the preprints review menu with all of these options. This is the landing page of a preprint that has received reviews on peer review. During submission, authors can select an option that automatically sends their preprint to peer review should it be accepted for posting. And once they receive a review, this is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like on the peer review site. And this is an example of an annotated preprints PDF. It pretty much looks like, it pretty much works as comments in a PDF as you would do when you're an everyday PDF reader, except these are public on the preprint site. And this is a pre-light highlight. It's not really a review per se, it's more a summary. And the pre-lights pre-list is specific to biology papers. Finally, our next steps are 1, interoperability of SciELO preprints with manuscripts management systems, OJS and Scholar One, which we're going to talk a little bit more in a few minutes. The use of artificial intelligence tools to support moderation, integration of similarity analysis into our workflow, and expanding the adoption, indexing, dissemination, and reliability of preprints. And onto submission systems. As part of our commitment to professionalization of our journals, we've been facilitating the use of submission systems for journals indexed in the SciELO Brazil collection. This actually predates SciELO preprints for quite a few years, but since preprints are the start of the workflow, that's where we started. So we offer our journals indexed in the SciELO Brazil collection the option to use free of charge Open Journal Systems, OJS, an open source software developed and maintained by PKP, just like OBS. Which we offer since 2007. Scholar One, which is developed and maintained by Silverchair, which we offer since 2012. It is important to highlight that the editorial processes are maintained by the journals without any interference from our side unless they need technical support. Journals are also free to use other submission systems if they choose to do so. For example, in some cases, journals might opt to use their university's OJS installation, self-host OJS, or have their own direct contracts with Silverchair. They can also opt for another submission system entirely, such as Editorial Manager or GM Papers, which is a Brazilian option. So SciELO submission system is our self-hosted OJS installation. It currently runs on OJS 3.4. And there are currently 42 active journals. We're also engaged members of the community and participate in the PKP members committee, the technical committee, and the advisory committee. So some challenges and opportunities that we have with OJS. So 1 is improving the user interface. This is something PKP have been working on for a few years, but there are still some ways to go. Some parts of the system can still cause confusion for authors and editors. Full integration with OPS via SWORD protocol for preprint workflow. There is a plugin that integrates OPS and OJS to allow for automatic submission. And we've been working on getting this to function properly on SciELO preprints and OJS. So we've been running some tests and should have it up and running soon. The use of AI to support processes such as submission and desk reviews. There are currently no native solutions using AI and OJS. So XML and PDF exporting. This is also something PKP has been working on, and there should be something along those lines starting in version 3.6, which is scheduled for release later this year, but it still wouldn't be a complete solution for us yet. And informed peer review. Currently, OJS offers an open review option that can be selected for every specific reviewer, but it doesn't ask for actual consent from the authors or the reviewers. This is just something that the editor will select when they're assigning a reviewer. And finally, broader adoption of demographic data collection and reporting. There is a plugin that allows for some very basic data collection and reporting, which we've been working on to improve, but I'll expand on that specific point in a little bit. And first collection. So we have currently 147 active journals in our contract. It is free of charge for our journals, so they don't have to pay us. And we're also engaged members of the community and participate in the publishing working group and the community advocates group. Some challenges and opportunities that we have with ScholarOne. So integrations as a whole are finicky with ScholarOne. They are usually custom made and come at a cost. There doesn't seem to have any talks about integrating ScholarOne with the SWORD protocol, which is what OPS uses to transfer submissions, and no talks of dataverse integration natively. It would have to be done via API, which is paid for, or as a custom job, which would also be paid for. The XML PDF exporting, which runs a little bit into the same issues as with the integrations. It is possible, technically yes, but not without a cost, and it would be a custom thing. Note that these types of custom jobs would only serve journals that use ScholarOne with SciELO. It wouldn't be something to improve the platform as a whole, and it wouldn't be shared with the community. Finally, the use of AI to support processes such as desk review and peer review. ScholarOne has some AI modules and has just released a review recommendation tool that uses it. It is currently under beta testing, but I don't think they have a date for release. So informed peer review, currently ScholarOne has no support for that. And the broader adoption of demographic data collection and reporting. ScholarOne allows some very basic data collection and limited reporting. So in this final section, I'll share some insights into the journals of the SciELO Brazil collection as a whole. So starting with this graph, which shows overall percentages of submission systems used by the 329 journals in the SciELO Brazil collection. You'll notice that ScholarOne under our contract represents 45%. Our OJS installation represents 13%. However, if you also consider journals using OJS on other installations at 36%, you'll have a total of 49% of journals using OJS. And this is a breakdown of submission systems by area of knowledge. ScholarOne is pretty heavily represented with the exception of the humanities, which is composed of human sciences, applied social sciences, linguistics, literature, and arts, where over 70% of journals use OJS. Every year, we also collect submission information from all our journals. We ask them the number of submissions received in the period, number of acceptances, rejections without peer review, and average time of peer review. So looking at this data, there's something to highlight, which is the scientific output of SciELO Brazil journals that shows two distinct trends. So first, between 2018 and 2020, and then 21 until 24. Submissions show a peak in 2020 with 371 manuscripts per journal on average. On this table, you're seeing the breakdown by area of knowledge. So these numbers that I'm going to say are a little different because they're the total overall. So yeah, submissions show a peak in 2020 with 371 manuscripts per journal, followed by a sharp and sustained drop until 2023 with an average of 243. And a slight recovery in 24 with an average of 257. We still do not have the data for 2025, but if it follows the preprint trend, we should see a little bit of an increase there as well. And yes, this numbers represents a decrease of approximately 30% in the volume of submissions since the pandemic peak. So next steps in regards to submission systems, this is on a broader scale, these are our next steps. You notice that all of these have already been mentioned one way or another, so it's a bit repeating what I already said. So first of all, interoperability with SciELO preprints with manuscript management systems, XML conversion, open informed peer review. In that regard, because systems don't allow for the collection of consent from authors and reviewers, we have an open science compliance form, which journals can require authors to submit along with article files that collects information on preprints, data availability, and consent on open peer review practices. So finally, the broader adoption of demographic data collection and reporting. As part of our commitment to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility principles, this is something we've been incentivizing journals to collect. It is data such as gender, race and ethnic origins, and disability status. In both cases, there are two main challenges. One, this is personal and therefore sensitive data that needs to abide by data protection laws and also needs to be encrypted. And two, both submission systems only collect data user by user, not allowing, for example, a submitting author to fill in this data for their co-authors. This means it's very difficult to collect this information for all authors of an article on the submission system. And that's what I had for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. One aspect that I wanted to comment that I did before is that the big problem we had is that we had that's a good system but island, and we would love to have something like at 1,000 when you submit it to a journal is automatically a preprint. You have the option. So that is our dream. Okay, now thank you, Carolina, very good presentation. Now we are talking a presentation about the evaluation, scholarly communication and research, within SciELO contest. And Rafael, again, you share with us. Rafael, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today I will present some SciELO practices in scholarly evaluation. The idea is not to show results. The idea is to show methods and strategies that we employ to compute access metrics and some bibliometrics. So this is the agenda. And let's start with access metrics. Okay, so SciELO follows something called counter release 5 code of practice. It's a book regarding techniques and strategies to avoid bad values while counting the how much someone accessed the SciELO articles. So this book defines a set of rules for measuring usage of this scholarly content. There are two basic metrics that the book states, that is requests. Request is a kind of metric that considers only the full text content. So if someone accesses an article in its full text HTML or PDF version, it's computed as a request. There are another set of measures that is called investigations. And this kind of metrics considers, besides the request itself, also the abstract page, the additional links related to that content. So it's a way of computing interest, additional interest on the article itself. So in SciELO, we have two kinds of full text content. It's delivered through web and PDF formats. And we have, depending on the version of the website, we have pages specific to represent abstract, how to cite, references. And these both kind of contents are taken into account to compute the metrics. There are another aspect related to who are accessing the metric. If someone enters the same article a lot of times, depending on the device, the browser, we count only one time, for example, for a time window of 1 hour. And this is a requirement to be to support counter strategies. We also take into account some other techniques such as double clicks removal. So if someone creates a script that accesses our content and this content is downloaded many times in a short time, for example, 30 seconds, we consider only the last time. Of course, our systems also have a list of bots, chatbots, and scrapers that we try to avoid in this computation. This is important because the idea is to compute human access, human access, and not robots access. But in a broader way, both kind of access are important. One is to measure the real usage of a paper, a journal, and the other one helps us to understand the size of the infrastructure necessary to provide the services. These counter metrics are delivered generally through two kind of reports. We call item reports to represent access to articles, title report to represent access to journals. And in SciELO specifically, we have three other kind of reports, which we call collection report, country report, and language report. Collection report refers to the access that an entire collection had. So we have collection reports for preprints, for books, for SciELO Brazil, Mexico, etc. Geolocation report refers to access to organized to country. So from which country someone access a specific article. So we can analyze if Brazilian articles are having access from, for example, China, USA, etc., and which language they are accessing. So if we have, if one article have two languages, which language is the most accessed? The Portuguese version, the English version, and this is important information to understand the degree of dissemination of the article in that language. And this is the site of our SciELO Sushi API, where everyone can access and get this information. And this is an example of a result obtained through, a result obtained through language report. So we see here that the chart presents access per document by document language over time. So we can see here in the year of 2021 that articles written in Spanish proportionally have more access to articles published in Portuguese or English, for example. Of course, the number of articles published in Spanish that year was lower than in English and in Portuguese, but here we are normalizing by the number of documents. So it's an interesting information. So Let's move on to another focus. Let's talk a little about bibliometrics. SciELO adopts two kinds of measures related to bibliometrics. We have our own computed bibliometrics on the journal level, and we use OpenAlex citations. But internally, we compute citations for journals. Let's talk a little about our internal commutations and citations. This is a data workflow that summarizes our method to compute the citations. So we extract the reference of all papers, and the system tries to standardize the journal titles. We use volume, cited year, to identify against a dictionary which journal was cited. And then we can have many tables that summarize these results by journal. We have, for example, granted citations, received citations, cited forms, citing documents, standardizing records. Everyone can see this kind of tables on the analytics SciELO.org. And this is a basic table representing the received citations in a specific year, for example. Every journal here is from SciELO. And this is the most title. It's a table that shows the most title variants. So regarding the type of title that they use, the author states on the reference, they can put there the full title, the short title, and we have to deal with that to normalize and identify the real title cited. Okay, this is a little about our citation counters. Let's talk a little about the new operandi. It's an observatory of data designed to support search, indicators, and observation of science practice regarding scientific production and social production. The platform integrates different sources, data sources. For example, OpenAlex, SciELO is the mainly ones. And the idea is to integrate these two data sets to form a unified data set that merges data from one side to another side. And this is the workflow currently running. We extract OpenAlex data, we extract our own data, and integrate these data sets to compute indicators. Let me show an example. It's important to mention that the same article in SciELO may have several versions, several representations. There is a Portuguese version, an English version, a Spanish version, for example, and each of them can have their own citations. In OpenAlex, this is 3 records. In SciELO, this is just 1 record. So to integrate both data sets, we have to link our unified record to that 3 records on OpenAlex, for example. And this is the interesting thing to do, because when computing metrics, we cannot put a high number of papers, for example, in the denominator of our formulas. Another aspect is the thematic classification. OKBR adopts OpenAlex categories as thematic areas. These categories are hierarchical and organized into 4 levels: domain, field, subfield, and topic. For example, life sciences can be a domain, agricultural and biological sciences can be a field, etc. It's important to mention that OpenAlex has a very strong mechanism for detecting and classifying articles into these categories. However, it's too important to review these results because they are used for evaluation purposes in our case. For example, we have already found cases of wealth-related articles being classified as artificial intelligence just because they were model, which believe this word refers to a clinical model in that case, not a model related to artificial intelligence. So this hierarchy allows us to compute metrics on different levels, but we have to take a deeper look at these classifications, these thematic metrics. So this slide shows an example of the indicators interface. The user can filter data, for example, by publication year, thematic definitions, domain, subfield, field, etc. Coverage, meaning CIELO exclusively or OpenAlex exclusively, etc. And we believe this platform is useful not to only consult indicators, but to explore data. I mean, apply a lot of filters and then check the numbers, the citations per document, the total citations per year, etc. And regarding the indicators itself, currently we are developing 2 types of measures. One is the cohort impact, which compares a journal with the category average in the same scope. I mean, by category, we are using domain, field, subfield, and topic. And we take all the papers classified as one of these per year, and then we take this average to compare the journal. The other metric is the positional measures that ask the following question: what part of the journal's output is among the most cited? Again, in the same schema, category plus year. And we do that for windows of years, 2, 3, or 5 years, and the total citations in a cumulative way. And we have under development page that we are calling journal profile, where we show this kind of metrics, for example, the number of applications, total citations, citations mean, and the impact score regarding related to a specific area. We have a few graphics, charts that present this information in an evolving way, and spider charts that represents those numbers distributed by category, domain, topic, etc. So here are the references that we are using to computing our metrics and taking and making decisions regarding our strategies. And one last talk. Let me check my script here. I would like to emphasize that these indicators are still under development. The thematic metrics are very useful because they allow us to compare journals within more specific and meaningful context. However, they are not final yet, obviously. We are still evaluate the classification, the coverage, the best way to interpret these results. One limitation is the thematic indicators may reduce the scope of the analysis. Depending on the select category, year, or level of the hierarchy, part of the scientific production may be left outside the comparison. For this reason, we are working on a global hierarchical metric. The idea is to provide a broader indicator that can include as much of the journal's production as possible, while still using thematic normalization. The information is available and reliable. In this approach, the calculation starts at the article level. Each article can be compared with expected citation values in different levels of the OpenAlex hierarchy, such as domain, field subdomain, and top. If one level is not available, or if the baseline is too weak, the other valid levels can still be used. This is important because the metrics becomes more inclusive. Instead of excluding an article simply because one thematical level is missing or unreliable, we can still use the available information. In short, our goal is not to produce a single definitive ranking. Our goal is to build transparent, auditable, and contextualized indicators that can support responsible scholarly evaluation. Thank you.
Evaluation of the SciELO journals and the SciELO articles has been always challenging for us, because usually the people use the Web of Science or the PubScholar, and we do not have all the journals. So how we collect the citation? Originally, we took citations from the SciELO Network, but that is very limited. And now, with the integration with OpenAlex, we can get the citation that comes from, so give us a much more broader vision. It is in development, but very, very advanced already. And we are planning, discussing with Rafael and Roberta, how to better qualify the normalized indicators, in the sense that, for example, not only use the thematic area and the year like most use, but also include language, include the country, and for example, people that publish in a thematic area in journals of Brazil, they are related in many to this Brazilian scientific production. And when you go to a Scopus indicate, they compare the normalization to the world. And of course, so we need also to reduce and say, okay, we see the scientific production of Brazil, Mexico, China, which is the normalized indicator of the session. So we need to desperately, search for indicators that show the relevance of the journals and the research that are communicated in journals of Brazil and the world. Because this problem that we have, the mainstream, the editor journals and the regional, local, we need to overcome this division, because it penalizes, our capacity to, let's say, be competitive, develop national infrastructure, even to lessen the money we spend with APC and the other things. So, thank you very much. Is anybody have any question, comments? Okay, probably we will work on that in the